guys, today I have with me James Dawson and the Prince.
Hello.
So James is an author. Do you want to tell everyone a bit about what you do and what you write about?
Yeah, so before I was an author, I used to teach sex ed in a lot of different schools in Brighton and home. And then about 5 years ago now, I left teaching to write full time. I've written now 5 novels, the latest of which is All of the Above.
Da, 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 da.
And then 3 non-fiction titles, which were Being a Boy, This Book is Gay, and next year's Mind Your Head.
I actually just read This Book is Gay.
Ooh.
Ooh.
It was meant to be everything I wished that I'd known when I was about 13 years old. So that was who it was written with in mind, but then I also think it's just for anyone who's ever wondered is what the dedication is. So.
Well, that's the thing, because I think a lot of people think that anything that is LGBT is for LGBT people, but why can't LGBT be mainstream and for everyone? So, do you want to tell everyone a bit about what All of the Above is about?
This All of the Above. Although all of my novels have featured characters who are LGBT+, this is the first one really that really looks at it and sort of really goes into it. It's about a girl called Toria, and I think she's 17, and she moves to this new town, and straight away she falls in love with this super hot guy who's this bass player called Nico. It's all going swell, and about 90 pages in she's like, my happy ending has arrived. But then she starts to realise that she is also developing very strong feelings for her female best friend. And so it's about what happens when you are very physically attracted to one person, but your soulmate is somebody who's the same gender as you. And what does that mean? That's the
Prince
dog
loves this.
snuffling around over there.
Do you think labels are a good thing, or do you think they're a bad thing?
Well, that's kind of what the book looks into.
Yeah.
It sort of explores, do we still need labels? And I think sometimes we do, we need that shorthand. But at the same time, I actually started writing the book around the time that Tom Daly came out. And I was
as
really
bi or
inspired.
as gay?
Well, this is it. To begin with, he wouldn't say either.
Exactly.
He just said, I'm seeing a man.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was really inspired by that for a long time. Certainly when I was growing up, it was gay, bi, straight. We have 3 options, whereas now you've got pansexual, demisexual, queer, asexual, sexually variant, sexually fluid. So there's a lot more labels for people to choose from. But I suppose with so many labels, actually it's tempting to see why people would just say, actually, I will just sleep with who I want to sleep with, actually.
So I want to talk a bit about your experience as being a sex ed teacher.
So basically, when I was teaching sex ed, I was with year 6s, so those are 10, 11-year-olds. So I used to love it. So at the start of the week, we would always start out by sort of playing games. So we would sort of go around, we'd sit around in a circle and we'd just do as many words for genitals as possible.
Brilliant.
Which very often would come down to stationery. So like pencil sharpeners,
oh my God, yes, I remember.
Rubbers, staplers. Just apparently there is no stationery that cannot also be a word for your genitals.
I remember this. Oh my goodness.
And we'd just go around in a circle, but then we would decide as a group going forward, are we going to use words like penis, or would we all be more comfortable using the word like willy? And 9 times out of 10 they would shake down and no, we'd rather stick with penis and vagina, please.
That's good though, like
exactly. And it was a very quick way as well of getting boys and girls to recognise that what they might think is okay isn't okay for the opposite sex as well.
Yeah. I feel like the word pussy is like used a lot in porn and American like comedy films and stuff. And so I hear so many guys using it and I
don't think I've ever heard a woman use it to describe her own ever.
I despise that word.
And at the start of the week I would get them to ask anonymous questions. And I would say to them, this is your one chance. You know, when else are you going to have a chance to ask any question you have always feared to ask?
What kind of questions did you get?
The vast majority, and this always came up, was, why are my parents having sex if they don't want to have any more children? And it's because nobody had explained that sex was pleasurable.
Oh my goodness.
And if you think about it, that's the message that we completely leave out of school-based sex education.
Think about actually something that you will learn in school and use like once you leave school. That's pretty important.
I mean, I've said this hundreds of times, and I mean, I'm almost bored of saying it now, but until we have mandatory sex and relationship education, because actually the sex bit's not done too badly, but it's actually relationships that is woefully bad.
One of the things that I find is the big question that a lot of people who are sceptical about sex ed in schools always say is, oh, but it has to be age appropriate, and like you can't be teaching sex to primary school children. It's like, no, but you can be teaching them what a healthy relationship looks like.
Absolutely.
You can be teaching them about what their body parts are.
Yeah.
I think another thing that's hugely missing from sex education is anything that's not heterosexual.
Absolutely, yeah. The gap that I was hoping to fill with this book is gay, because if we're telling people that, you know, this is sex, and this is what sex looks like, then actually that's only going to be suitable for about 95% of the class.
Yeah.
So 5% of any class are just getting completely the wrong information. We need to look at that 5% as being particularly vulnerable, which is, you know, LGBT people are more at risk of depression, they're more at risk of anxiety, much more at risk of homelessness, self-harm. We're never going to have young LGBT people who feel as vulnerable and isolated as they did in the 80s and 90s, because obviously now we have the online community, we've got YouTube, we've got a lot more gay representation in the media. So hopefully people are seeking it out, but as with anything on the internet, it's about how can you trust sources of information, how do you know?
How much do you know about the LGBT community on YouTube?
Well, it seems increasingly that there isn't a member of the YouTube community who isn't on the LGBT spectrum, but this is a great thing, this is a really positive thing. It just seems to be that kind of almost one by one, everybody be coming out, that's a fantastic thing. I think when we talk about intersectionality, we talk about the way that our various identities interact and which are going to have the biggest impact on our lives, you know, and that could be a lot to do with your background, it could be to do with the colour of your skin, it could be to do with your religious background, it could be to do with whether you have a disability, and then all of these things are going to sort of interact in different ways. You know, that's why it's quite frustrating when people sort of try to clump you all together and people say, oh, well, this is what the trans experience is like, or this is what the gay experience is like, or this is what the bi experience is like, because there just isn't one.
Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for James for being here. You can follow him on Twitter at _James Dawson.
That's me.
Also, we are going to be doing a giveaway of all of the above. There will be 5 winners, so 5 of you will win a copy of it. It's UK and Ireland only. It'll be signed.
It will.
Yeah. All you have to do is make sure that you are following us on Twitter and tweet using the hashtag all of the above with a piece of advice that you would give to a young LGBT or questioning person. There'll be more details in the description.
Thank you for having me on your channel.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I love talking about sex, it's great. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and continue discussion about sex ed, LGBT issues in the comments, because I love hearing all your thoughts and what you have to say about that.